It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show live on SABC3. This is Expresso. We're talking to Dr. Eve this morning about religion, marriage, how these two things affect one another. And we've got Samantha calling us in from Cape Town. Good morning, Samantha.
Hi. Good morning, Kahisa. How are you?
Very, very well, thank you. Good to have you. So what is your question or your comment?
I just have one thing to say. I'm a Christian, and when God sanctifies a marriage, when He brings two people together, He blesses that marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And when whatever He brings together, I just want to tell all couples out there, whatever God brings together, no one can separate. And with Him as your leader, your guide, there's nothing and no one that can tear your marriage apart.
Thank you so much for that, for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
So obviously somebody of a very, very strong Christian
Yeah.
faith and believes in the sanctity of marriage as sanctified by God, right?
So there is research as well to back up what she's saying in that, and I said it early on, there is, if you in this religious environment, there is more pressure to stay together.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the research shows as well, is that because there is this belief in the higher power of a God, you kind of work out the conflict. You kind of know that this is a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way out. So you tend to work a little harder and making sure that the marriage is going to work because there isn't an option for you.
Yeah.
And so therefore you may just find, I have to be satisfied in some way in this marriage because that's it.
And what about when considering raising children and
Yeah.
what beliefs to impart on them if you are two people from different faiths? How do you do that in a healthy way in a relationship?
That's really interesting because that becomes a huge difficulty for couples. They manage to talk about it themselves and can even go into the romance of we're going to make it work, we're going to make it work. And then when children are discussed or when children are there, that's when the tensions come because we always go back to what we know and what we're familiar with. And we always think that our religion or our cultural belief is tops. That's the number one. It's better than the other person's. And then it's a difficult decision, like which one are we going to raise our children in? So couples take different views on it. Some of them will just relinquish and say, we'll get the children to decide when they're old enough to decide.
Okay.
And I find that can be a little confusing because I think like with everything, children need boundaries and they need to be contained in a certain way and they need certain expectations to be set. And then other couples will say, well, let's just raise them in a very holistic way, bringing in bits of our religion, bringing bits of my religion and exposing them to different religions of the world. And then let's see what works for them. Or they get into really tense situations where it's going to be, this is how it's going to be, and this is how it is. And there's always this underlying tension where the one person feels, I've really lost out by not exposing my children to something.
Yeah.
So communication is the thing. It has to happen very much in interfaith relationships. It has to be the top of the pops with that.
But I think that has been the key throughout
Yes.
our conversation this morning. It's all about
Absolutely.
communication and communication. Thank you very much to Dr. Eve for
Thank
sharing
you.
her expertise. And thank you for calling in and asking your questions and sharing your stories with us. But right now, it's time for us to say goodbye on this Monday morning. Can you believe it, team?